are gonna make a fortune.
Well, it's yet again time for another year of Jurassic World hype. That being a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. And with a small possibility that movie is so awful the franchise dies out.
That is absolutely out of the question.
Why not spend the time leading up to that analyzing all the original Jurassic Park movies? The first one being a film that had many a critic asking, does the original Jurassic Park still hold up? And yeah, it does, but it's not the best Spielberg movie. It's the best Jurassic Park movie, which isn't saying much. Despite the varying opinions on what the worst movie is, literally seeing them all on the bottom of somebody's list, it's pretty much unanimously agreed on that the original is the best. But if for whatever reason they really put a lot of effort in and tried to make the best sequel they could, I don't consider it untouchable. This may be a hot take, but if you exclude the nostalgia, along with the effects and visuals, this isn't exactly a perfect movie. In fact, it's a flawed movie. I'm not saying I don't like it by any means, but opposed to Jaws or Raiders of the Lost Ark, this is not the same level of perfection. It mainly comes down to the pacing issue that I can see some people overlooking and still do, but when the awe and amazement has worn thin when you've seen the movie 50 plus times, because you're a kid in the 90s, you've seen the movie 50 plus times. I was not a kid then, obviously, and I've seen it more than that. It was PG-13 for a reason, and as a result, you tend to notice that it may not be complete perfection. Is it still amazing? Hell yeah, but would I objectively put it in the top 5 or maybe even top 10 best movies? I don't think so. It's gonna get a lot of hate from the community, so let's analyze why that is, and of course, all the good stuff. We all know the opening scene and what it symbolizes, the introduction of our game hunter Muldoon, played by Robert Peck, and a very poorly done operation. What did you think was gonna happen? Obviously they're not gonna kill the acid given its value, instead trying to merely tase it, leading to this iconic line. Shoot her! Did I really need to show that? So despite the stupidity of this, you have to appreciate the subtlety. The new movies tend to cram this message down your throat, valuing money over human life, corporate greed. But in this movie, it's more simplistic, as in, yeah, that ain't good. There you go. Not to mention, it's still a great scene. Maybe outdone by a few others, but a hell of an opening. We then cut to the true monster, this fucking lawyer. In the novel, he had a more prominent role, actually kind of heroic, but in this, well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but insert comedic moment here. Anyway, the real stars of this movie, paleontologist Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, and his assistant Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern. I could talk about the commonly discussed scene when Grant tries to scare some kid to death, but instead I want to bring up Sean Connery, who could have played John Hammond, but instead opted to play in everybody's favorite action thriller, Rising Sun.
What the hell is that? I don't know what the hell that is!
What in the hell is that?
Yeah, it was supposed to be remembered. It was of course played by Richard Attenborough, who does give an iconic performance, but the whole I'm glad it turned out the way it did, all things happen for a reason.
Fuck all that.
I don't care how iconic any character is, Sean Connery as John Hammond would have been the shit. I'm not gonna keep debating it, some are just not gonna agree, but I think it's undisputed that this may be Sean Connery's biggest fuck-up. One of his biggest, but it is what it is, and Attenborough does do a great job.
But today, I guarantee it.
More alarming is Alan Grant's door, that somehow has hinges on both sides. While I can't list every mistake in this $63 million budget movie, I can sure as hell try.
Spared no expense.
For example, in the same scene, the towel changes color. It's white, and then it's pink.
Spared no expense.
Anyway, I could talk about the plot of the movie, opposed to random trivia and hot takes. Being Hammond needs Alan and Ellie to come see his new theme park, due to the fucking lawyer played by Martin Fierro, who invites Jeff, Goldblum, playing the iconic Ian Malcolm. They don't currently want to drop everything and leave, but are easily enticed by a whole lot of money, as he will soon be again. And joining the cast is the corrupt Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight, and Gregory Thor as Lewis Dotson. Yeah, Gregory may have been a sex offender, but at least in this movie, he's playing a normal guy.
What the hell is the matter with you?
Unlike Nedry's bag, that disappears.
Spared no expense.
Luckily, this is not Dominion, so we don't have to get into any of that Biosyn shit. All you need to know is they're thieves. That's it, thieves. And Dennis is a hired thief. You can go ahead and watch Dominion or that weird Jurassic World cartoon that's apparently canon, but for me, them being thieves is good enough. And of course, having Dotson here.
Dotson! We've got Dotson here!
On the flight there, we have some seating locations that don't make sense. Due to where Hammond's sitting, he should not get out first.
Spared no expense.
And it's funny how these already parked Jeeps that clearly can't back up anymore have the uncanny ability to back up.
Spared no expense.
But still, a damn good shot, and speaking of damn good shots... Yes, Jurassic Park is in fact a dinosaur theme park. You know, in case you didn't know that. And Skeptical the fucking lawyer no longer is. On the other hand, I have a lot of questions about how they go about making dinos, but that's okay. Apparently they extract the blood from mosquitoes that bit various dinosaurs and have them to get caught in tree sap, while using the DNA of frogs or other animals to fill in the gaps in the dinosaur genome. And, again, that's okay. Does it make any sense? No, but it is at least something. Maybe there's a more plausible method, I don't know, but for what it is, I'm not gonna complain about this. What I will complain about is maybe the dumbest mistake in the movie. Now you see the mechanical hand around the egg, and now you don't.
Spared no expense.
I don't know how that mistake happens. I'm not really mad about these, but how does that happen? So these are raptors, and as you know, raptors are more dangerous than anything else, especially because they shouldn't be this big, but every movie does that. And Ian Malcolm does give his opinion on how this might not be the best idea, with lines that are still commonly referenced to this day.
It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
So the fact that only the fucking lawyer is on his side by the end has to mean something. So anyway, kids, Lex, played by Ariana Richards, and Tim, played by Joseph Mazzello, who would eventually go on to play the only living Queen member who has any remote common sense. It's dead. Okay? Queen is dead. Get over it. You can add in as many new singers as you want, but Queen is dead. Died in the 90s. So, of all the Jurassic movies, these may be my least favorite kids. I mean, not storyline-wise, Maisie is a fucking clone who commits mass homicide. That's what that was, but Kelly, Eric, and even the siblings from Jurassic World, I would probably take to these two. I find Tim annoying, that's because his trait, aside from being a dino nerd, is being annoying.
Hey, look at this! Wait, hey, watch! Hey, come on, watch this!
It's also kind of stupid, we'll get to that later. And Lex is just there. Oddly enough, her novel counterpart is obnoxious as hell. I believe 90% of what she says is, "I'm hungry," but she does contribute later, so that is one thing. There was going to be a plot when their parents were getting divorced, but that was cut and put into Jurassic World for no reason. Literally no reason. And that is one of the few deleted clips in this movie you can actually find. In fact, it may be the only one. Yeah, let's just say there's no extended version for a reason. Oddly enough, it's easy to forget Samuel L. Jackson is in this. I mean, he is the last character I mentioned. He arguably has the least important role, but Pulp Fiction wouldn't come out till a year later, truly skyrocketing his career. And despite that, he isn't always known for the biggest roles, so it does kind of make sense.
Hold on to your butts.
But he does have that line that he says twice, so that's the thing. So most of our main cast are going to be given the tour that will open the park, complete with automated vehicles, but it runs into a snag as just assuming dinosaurs will be there, it proves to be ineffective. I don't know why that's a thing. Logically, that would happen without something to make them appear there, at the ideal time, in the ideal spot. Aside from making John Hammond look stupid, I don't know what this adds. We've already seen dinosaurs, we're about to see a sick triceratops. Maybe they don't want us to see any carnivores yet, but this doesn't make sense.
I really hate that man.
Still, seeing the Triceratops up close does look great, and an understanding of when animatronics should be used, more on that later. And upon getting the perfect line for the last two sequels,
that is one big pile of shit.
I honestly just noticed that after Ellie literally digs through it, and Ian comments on that, Alan looks down at his boots, likely annoyed that he stepped in it. That's some real great detail. You wanna know what's not great detail? Yeah, you know. The storm, that's by the way completely real, did a lot of real damage too, becomes an issue for Dennis, as he's trying to steal dinosaur embryos, and what is supposedly a live video doesn't look like a live video.
Spared no expense.
So Dennis has to work quickly, and apparently so do the staff. They spell Tyrannosaurus wrong,
Spared no expense.
and Stegosaurus,
Spared no expense.
and if you think I'm done,
If you get all 15 species off the island.
no, it's more like 10 or 11, I can't tell, but it's not 15.
Spared no expense.
so that plan goes terribly wrong. But to do so, we did have to shut the power off, as in the whole park. Why the whole park, I don't know. Not gonna pretend that makes any sense, but it does set the chaotic events into motion. We have the iconic cup of water, inspired by Earth, Wind, and Fire, that Spielberg was jamming to in his car. And do I even need to explain how amazing this scene is? This is what I meant by knowing when to use animatronics and CGI. Later movies got this so blatantly wrong. It's not that complicated, and this is how you do it. Not only are the visuals ahead of their time, they still fucking hold up. It's just perfect, the pacing, the atmosphere, it's all amazing. I could talk about what's going on. The dumbass kid shines a light at it. The fucking lawyer takes off, eventually gets a comedic death. Malcolm gets injured severely. But honestly, it's just a fantastic scene. Apparently that sound effect came from an elephant calf, tiger, and alligator. At one point the T-Rex terrified the crew due to a malfunction. All that said, theoretical handjob aside, how is the door left open, somehow closed by itself, stayed closed by itself, and had to get closed again?
Spared no expense.
I know some people debate this, it does seem a cliff comes out of nowhere, maybe we missed something, but I'm gonna count it.
Spared no expense.
You can literally see a wire and a light in the background.
Spared no expense.
And this may be a stretch, but the broken glass has the ability to repair itself.
Spared no expense.
The kid's a wise ass.
Meanwhile, Nedry gets lost and encounters a Dilophosaurus. I know that most of this is probably not accurate, but nothing indicates a Dilophosaurus looks anything like this. The novel at least gets the size right, being a bit bigger, but the whole spitting venom and blinding you thing is completely made up. I get why they made it up, it's a cool idea, but despite that, we don't see them again until the 6th movie. Well, aside from that hologram thing, not gonna lie though, the scene is pretty funny.
Look, stick, stupid. That's a stick.
Dennis is such an asshole, seeing this thing toy with him is a fun payoff, and his death is well fitting. Goodbye, Newman. However, I did promise I'd explain to you why this movie isn't perfect, and 15 plus mistakes don't cut it. Speaking of strings,
Spared no expense.
good luck on seeing that.
Spared no expense.
And I'll tell you what's wrong after you've safely hit the like button, not that you won't want to after. And as for subscribing, this would be a good time for that too. Sharing the video is essential, given the broken algorithm, and the gaming channel is there too for the same stuff, with games. Link in the description. So yeah, the problem is the pacing. The Jeep chase is good and relevant to establish Ian is not dead.
Must go faster. Go faster. Must go faster. Must go faster.
But the Brachiosaurus encounter in the tree is memorable. Like when that slide, the conversation between Ellie and Hammond would mean something, if not for him later saying, it's just a delay. It's still a good scene, but aside from the ice cream Ellie clearly couldn't reach,
Spared no expense.
it doesn't move the plot. The Gallimimus scene is cool and iconic, but that's it. And even Tim getting zapped down the fence because he's too stupid to keep moving is only there to enhance another scene. Sure, he can't walk too good, but he gets along just fine. So really the only thing that matters is the revelation that dinosaurs have been breeding, as the West African frog DNA they used is a species that can change sex.
I found a way.
Is that supposed to be a good thing? I guess Claire would think so. But despite these all being great scenes that didn't bother me as a kid, I can still enjoy them till this day, you can't deny the pacing issue. Things get back on track after this, but that's pretty damn close to the end. Once you get past Rexy's intro, not a whole lot matters. I'm not really complaining, it doesn't take away the enjoyment, but if not for these scenes being so damn good, the visuals, the effects, the spectacle that this movie is, it may not have held up quite as good. It's not a perfect movie, but I'm not saying I really care. So given they can't decipher Nedry's code, Ray decides to head off and reboot the park system. As you can imagine, it doesn't go well, but given the aforementioned storm that really happened, he wound up not being in Hawaii to shoot the scenes. But Ellie is the second main character, Ray is the black engineer, so what do you think happened? We get a line that wouldn't fly today.
It ought to be me really going. I'm your
Yeah, it's implied Hammond's wrong, but again, it's today. So Ellie and Muldoon head out, but given the raptors have broken out, that's a problem. Ellie heads off alone, jumping over trees, clearly the same tree, watching them appear and disappear.
Spared no expense.
And after a bit of poor navigation and some bad timing, the power is back on, but the raptor's already in there, so not exactly perfect. And as you may have guessed, Mr. Arnold didn't make it, or didn't make it back to shoot the movie, so a prop arm is all we get. She makes it out though, and as for Muldoon, another classic line.
Clever girl.
In the novel, he actually escaped via underground pipes, but it is what it is. So Alan decides to leave the kids alone, which is funny because...
He left us!
But that's not what I'm gonna do.
And that's a bad idea. Luckily, despite Tim not being able to walk on his own, they can outsmart two raptors. Kinda thought they could smell or something. One falls for the reflection trick. It does kind of make sense given the raptors need assistance from an unknown person.
Spared no expense.
Again, good looking seeing that.
Beginning to piss me off.
But it's still a tense scene. And opposed to Alan just shooting it with his gun he now has, they instead head to the control room to get the locks going and call for help. But the super smart raptor who can open doors is not giving up, so Lex must use her tech skills to get the shit back on by herself, while Tim offers support. So yeah, even as a kid seeing this movie for the first time, being blown away by it, not questioning anything, the logic, the pacing, nothing, even back then, I had to ask, why didn't he just hand her the fucking gun? Especially because he doesn't contribute in any other way. So is he really just that stupid? But it's okay, they get the locks on right as the door is not open, and they escape through the vents. But the raptors are there too, a big epic final scene takes place. We all know the T-Rex comes at the last minute, incidentally helps them escape. How it got in the building, I don't know. And we have our final mistake.
Spared no expense.
Yeah, you probably missed it, but for a moment, the raptor disappeared.
I really hate that man.
Okay, so I'm not gonna play games. This is a fantastic final scene. I don't care if it makes any sense. It's a motherfucking T-Rex being the hero, but not deliberately. That's how it should be. Yeah, I know in the new movies, Blue the Raptor is the only real companion, but her and the T-Rex do kind of seem like they're buddies. This may be my favorite scene in any Jurassic Park movie, even more than Rexy's intro, I don't know. I just really think it's good. That being said, it was going to be completely different. Probably make a video discussing it because it's so fascinating, but to keep it simple, it would have involved the raptor getting crushed in the T-Rex skeleton. I can't say it beats the final version, but it would have been cool to see in some format. It's one of the most interesting unused concepts. It would have given the finale a completely different tone, but going by this shot alone... they made the right choice. So with the Torah being fucked, and multiple people dead due to some rich guy's stupidity, we can conclude the film with Alan Grant no longer disliking kids. Something I did not mention because when we see these two again, they're not together, so why the fuck did it matter? Well, until Dominion, but who cares? I think the point here is obvious. Jurassic Park is not a perfect movie, and that's okay. What it does right more than makes up for it. I think continuing to re-emphasize that is getting a bit redundant. The effects, the atmosphere, one amazing scene after another, a basic understanding of CGI when far away, animatronics up close, and a likable cast that I mostly want to see make it. I don't particularly love the kids, some scenes are a bit ridiculous, the pacing issue can't be ignored, fix that and you'd have a perfect movie, but the legacy can't be denied. This is more of a flawed masterpiece. I think most of us know why that is by now, but I'll stand by the fact that it could be outdone. I don't think it will be. If I had to bet, I'd say Rebirth isn't that good, but Jurassic Park, as great as it is, isn't untouchable. But it is still real damn good. I'm the analyst, and remember kids, if you're already a millionaire or billionaire, don't discover. So, you've made it to the end. That's an impressive feat indeed. Since you managed that, I guess check out the gaming channel, in which I cover a variety of gaming topics, like analysis videos, such as this one. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's that simple.